to our English news edition, coming to you from Canal, Algérie. To the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, the Vatican Secretary for Relations with States and International Organizations. Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saeed Shingiriha, attends the final game of the Military Cup contest. The Energy Minister, Mohamed Arqab, takes part in the Ministerial Forum of the Gas Exporting Countries held in Cairo. Sustainable Development and Energy Transition topped the meeting. In our news also, a special window devoted to the latest preparations for the Algiers' upcoming Arab Summit. Good evening, those were the headlines. First, in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Tuesday in Algiers the Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary of the Vatican for Relations with the States and International Organizations. The meeting took place at the Presidency of the Republic in the presence of the Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamara and the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency, Abdelaziz Khalaf. Following the audience, Paul Richard Gallagher made the following statement.
Je suis particulièrement heureux de visiter l'Algérie pour la première fois. Je transmets les cordiales salutations et les meilleurs vœux de paix du Saint-Père, le Pape François.
I'm so glad to visit Algeria. It's a great opportunity for me to extend the Pope's greetings as part of this celebration of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations. We recall the year 1962, which witnessed two major events for the Catholic Church and Algeria as well. In 2022, the Catholic Church celebrates the anniversary of the opening of the embassy of the Catholic Church, coinciding with Algiers' celebration of recovering independence and sovereignty. In this difficult era, the Vatican is trying to find peaceful settlements via consolidating the bonds of brotherhood. We are looking forward to establishing peace in a world still affected by the health crisis. We are called upon to develop mechanisms for keeping peace by taking into account the human dignity. Algeria is the cradle of Asian civilizations. Here lived Muslims and Christians, and Saint Augustine and Saint Charles Foucault. I recall here the Pope's message in which he said that we are all brothers. I wish success for the Arab Summit to be held in Algiers, an event to promote dialogue, concord, and brotherhood.
The Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary of the Vatican for Relations with the States and International Organizations, was equally received by the Foreign Minister Mtala Mamara. In a related activity, the Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary of the Vatican for Relations with the States and International Organizations, was then received by the Interior Minister Ibrahim Merad. Later in the day, the Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary of the Vatican for Relations with the States and International Organizations, went to the Martyrs' Sanctuary and laid a wreath of flowers and observed a minute of silence in the memory of our glorious Shuhada or martyrs. As part of the festivities commemorating the 68th anniversary of the outbreak of the November Revolution and in tribute to the meeting of the 6 historical leaders, and which began on the 23rd of October 1954, the Council of the Nation hosted a conference led by the President of the Senate, Salah Goujil. It was about the most important events that paved the way for the declaration of November 1st. This took place in the presence of the Minister of Mujahideen, Aider Biga, the Minister of Relations with the Parliament, Bisma Azwar, as well as the national bodies and organizations. In another context, the Army General Saeed Shingereha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, attended the final game of the Military Cup, the winner of which was the 4th Military Region Squad over the Land Forces Command. Other activities were equally held during the game. Ines Kello has the details.
After the welcoming ceremony, the Army General joined the official complex tribune to follow the final game in the presence of the Minister of Youth and Sports, Minister of Communication and Minister of Culture and Arts, as well as the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Defense, commanders of the forces and the National Gendarmerie, commanders of the 1st and 4th military regions, heads of departments and directors, and heads of central services of the Ministry of National Defense and the General Staff of the National People's Army, and some guests. Before the start of the match, the audience observed a minute of silence in tribute of the late Abdurrahman Mahdawi, former coach of the national military football team. The first half of the match remained goalless between the two teams, till breaking the deadlock by the team of the 4th military region at the 36th minute, thanks to the goal scored by the striker Sergeant Aros Anis by a header, and the first set in a 1-0 in favor of the 4th military region team. During the second half, the players of the Land Forces Command Squad multiplied their offensive in the hope of equalizing. These efforts were crowned by a goal scored by Corporal Azouni Muammar in the 96th minute of additional time. The match ended with a score of 1 goal each. The two teams had to determine the winner via a penalty shootout, which sided with the 4th military region team with a score of 5-4, thus winning the Algerian Military Football Cup. At the end of the game, the Army General handed medals to both teams before awarding the Algerian Military Cup to the winning team of the 4th military region. It should be noted that during the break, the Army General honored figures of the national sport, such as Mohamed Maouche, member of the foundation of the former players of the National Liberation Front football team, the former world and Olympic champion Noureddin Mursli, recently decorated in South Korea by the president of the International Olympic Committee of the International Order of Merit, the coach of the national football team Jamal Belmadi, the coach of the national team of local players, Majid Bouguerra, the coach of the national football team under 17 years old, Rizqi Roman, as well as the family of the former coach of the national military football team, the late Abdurrahman Mahdawi. The Army General also honored the retired athlete Corporal Ali Koulal, who was injured in the fight against terrorism, and offered him an athletics wheelchair with all its accessories.
In another development, the Housing Minister Tariq Blaribi paid an inspection visit to the town of Sidi Abdullah, during which he announced the distribution of nearly 1,200,000 housing units, all forms combined. Najah Tayyar has the details.
On the occasion of the 68th anniversary of the outbreak of the Algerian Revolution, nearly 120,000 housing units of all types will be distributed throughout the national territory. During an inspection visit to the project site of rental purchase housing of the National Agency for the Improvement and Development of Housing in the new town of Sidi Abdullah in Algiers, the Minister of Housing Mohammed Tariq Belaribi affirmed that the objective is to distribute 38,000 units at least by the end of 2022. Given the custom of distributing housing units due to the dates that symbolize the sacrifices of our martyrs, since the beginning of 2022, November 1st is the date chosen for the distribution of nearly 120,000 housing units, all types combined, throughout the national territory. This quota includes 68,000 social rental housing type units, nearly 29,700 units of AADL housing units, 3,700 subsidized promotional housing units, and 1,750 public promotional housing type units. The operation provides a distribution of more than 11,000 rural housing aid and nearly 4,200 social housing estates in accordance with the instructions of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and under the Finance Law 2023. Several housing projects have been included in the framework of the public rental housing. Concerning the project of the construction of AADL housing units at the level of the new town of Sidi Abdullah, Belaribi insisted on the establishment of a roadmap to deliver a maximum number of units in 2023, emphasizing that all the obstacles hindering the process of work had been removed. This mega project needs to be delivered as soon as possible. There are 13,000 housing units on which we should focus. This project is a priority, without marginalizing the rest of the project, of course. During this visit, the minister indicated that the commitment of the President of the Republic concerning the use of local building materials have been respected on the field, ensuring that those used in the construction of AADL housing are 100% Algerian.
In a different context, the Energy Minister Mohammed Arqab took part in the proceedings of the 24th Ministerial Meeting of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum held in Cairo. Sustainable development and energy transition topped this important meeting. Rania Al-Bahri tells us more.
The 24th Ministerial Meeting of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, held in Cairo, took place in an exceptional energy context, which is characterized by a multidimensional crisis, an observation made by the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohammed Arqab. During his opening speech, the Minister of Energy stressed the importance of this meeting to formulate and propose the best solutions that the world needs for its long-term energy security and to restore natural gas to its rightful place as a key energy for sustainable development and energy transition. The current crisis urges us to wonder about the efficiency of the energy choices and policies adopted in the construction of efficient energy markets, capable of guaranteeing the availability of energy to consumers and ensuring a continuous demand for procedures. The chairman of this meeting, the Egyptian Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Tariq Al-Mullah, affirmed that this meeting is being held at a critical moment when global efforts are being made to achieve the same energy for security, sustainability and accessibility.
During this meeting, the Algerian Mohammed Hammal was re-elected as the Forum Secretary General for a 2-year term. On the sidelines of the proceedings of the 24th meeting of the gas exporting countries, the Minister of Energy, Mohammed Arqab, held talks with Tariq Al-Mullah, the Egyptian Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources. In a related topic, the participants in this forum, including Algeria's Energy Minister Mohammed Arqab, were received by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Let's open now our window devoted to the Arab Summit and director of the Afro-Arab Cultural Institute, Salem Soufi, who speaks about the symbolic choice of this date. Let's have a listen to him for more insights.
The Arabs, as well as Muslims and even people aspiring to freedom, know that the war of liberation of Algeria is the victory of humanity, and not only the Arabs or the Muslims or the African peoples. The fact of referring to this glorious history and the holding of an event of such a magnitude on a date as symbolic as November 1st is a victorious inspiration for the Arab people and those admiring freedom. The Algerian leaders did well to choose this date because this choice is likely to boost the morale of the Arab nation and preserve its dignity. The sacrifices made by Algeria are considered to be exceptional, knowing that Algeria is in everyone's heart.
The media coverage of the Arab Summit will be in full cooperation with the ABSU, or the Arab States Broadcasting Union, in charge of ensuring an extensive coverage of the event. Ines Killu has more.
At the center of the Arab States Broadcasting Union, ASBU, all human and material resources have been mobilized to ensure the best running of this major event. A few days before the Arab Summit, the center is carrying out the last rehearsals and testing its equipment for the D-Day, because it is through these monitors that the coverage material will be sent to the various Arab TV channels.
We are here at the Program Exchange Center under the auspices of ASBU, which is in charge of coordination, but also of the technical aspect, a mission that requires combined efforts between the different bodies in order to guarantee the running of their stations and the broadcasting through the digital channels and the MENAS system, an innovative system, and the broadcasting of which is much better than the old system.
The footage will arrive from this control of the Algerian Television Broadcasting Service installed here at the CIC, and will first be checked by technicians and then processed before being sent via satellite connection. Everything is mobilized to ensure the best media coverage of the Arab Summit in Algiers.
C'est pour dire qu'en termes de moyens, tout a été mis à la disposition de l'ASBU.
In terms of means, everything was put at the disposal of ASBU. All the Arab TV channels have the right to cover the event live and to make live programs. These means will certainly make this event successful on the level of the coverage.
Donner la possibilité à ce sommet d'être réussi sur le plan de la couverture médiatique.
Technical logistics have been put in place for successful media coverage of the Arab Summit that all Arab countries are waiting for, so that all the TV channels present at the CIC will be able to ensure an extensive coverage in the most favorable conditions.
Abroad, 6 Palestinians were killed and about 20 others were injured on Tuesday following new attacks carried out by the Zionist entity in the occupied West Bank. And the resumption of the peace process in Western Sahara depends on ending violation of the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination made on Monday during a meeting of the Permanent Bureau of the General Secretariat of the Polisario Front under the chairmanship of the Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali. It was devoted to the review of the latest developments in Western Sahara and the responsibility of the UN and the Security Council with regard to the decolonization of Western Sahara, the last African occupation. And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.